Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Gate 7 International, your number one English source for all things Olympiacos. I'm Costa. I'm joined by co-host Marshall, aka Olympiakos France. We've finished watching all the football tonight, the Madrid game. Is it finished or is it still going?
No, it's still going. 3 minutes going.
Still going. Madrid are 2-0 up, but we're here to talk about the AEK game. Olympiakos played AEK in the second leg of the Cup, the return fixture. Olympiakos down 3-0 going into the second leg. Not a lot of hope, at least personally. Wasn't expecting much of anything for Olympiakos to go through. We did put up a poll on Instagram earlier in the day, and we asked the question, do you think we can go through? And around 70% of Olympiakos fans that answered the poll actually thought we could do it tonight. Well, in the end, we've come out of this game with a 2-1 victory. It's, I think psychologically a good confidence boost after what was a truly horrendous Easter Sunday, at least for our Catholic friends. A decent performance, I can say. Like Marshall, let's jump straight into it. Like, what are your first thoughts about today's game?
Well, you said it. It was a decent performance because we were expecting some kind of reaction from the team, from the players, and we saw it on the first half because there was passion on that game, and I wasn't believing in the qualification itself, but I was just expecting from the team to bounce back to show that what we saw in Leoforos was more of an accident than the real soul of this team. And it's very strange to speak about a game you won, but in which you did not qualify because it does not happen that much. With the Greek Cup rule, which I do find kind of strange when you compare to the other European Cup, but we needed that win because we are facing AEK in 2 weeks, maybe like 1 week and a half. So psychologically, the win was needed, and it's also good that the 3-0 in the cup does not remain the only mark between AEK and Olympiakos this season because we won there too in the league. They drew in Karaiskakis, so it's kind of balanced. 1-1 between AEK and Olympiakos this season, so it was good for us to win that game. But at the end of it, I'm still frustrating because the goal we conceded probably killed any hope of a comeback because it was the second goal of that game, if I'm correct, like the 1-1, and the second goal of that game, if it was for Olympiakos, would have been very different, like 2-0 compared to 1-1.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think for me, it was a return to what I think is our best attacking formation because, we were all very perplexed with what we saw on Sunday. It was a very passive team that was playing in our own half, playing a waiting game, really allowing Panathinaikos a lot of the possession in the first half at least. And, it's not nice to see some intensity again in the first half. I thought we entered the game with good intent. Hwang In-bom, the first play of the game, he won the ball in our own half and then drove past about 4 or 5 players and won a foul, and you could see that he was up for it. And the first 10-15 minutes we dominated possession. We were playing football in AEK's half. AEK didn't really trouble us. They balanced things out, I think, towards the end of the second half. We obviously got the goal after 28 minutes with a fantastic header from Valbuena, which really reminds you of a centre forwards movement on the near post. Lovely goal, and then And then Biel misses this opportunity in the 35th minute, I think. Fortounis and Androutos play the ball down the right-hand side. They work the ball into the box, and then Fortounis plays a really nice ball into Biel, and you think it's on his left foot. He's going to at least, he has the quality to hit the target, and he fires wide, and you can see the disappointment in his face, but also you can, even from the television, you can just hear the groans from the fans in the stands, like, just at least hit the target, man.
Yeah,
and
it
that's
was a Fortounis shot. Like
and then,
Fortounis would have probably scored that.
yeah, then you're right. There's the Fortunis like break into the box from the right hand side and the shot with his left foot, but I felt like they didn't really trouble us in the first half much. I think they had the one chance with Pineda that came close, the header from Hadzi Safi's cross. That was quite a nice action, but otherwise, but yeah, like we said at the beginning, it's one of those performances where you feel, you know, we can beat this team, even though AEK is a very well drilled team. Like, we still have like the individual quality, and that's, you know, both goals that we scored today. The first one, it was, you know, okay, a really good cross from Bakambu and Valbuena with a great header, and then, you know, Huang's goal is just a fantastic shot with his left foot outside the box. Like, so I'm really like interested to see how it's going to go down in a couple of weeks when we play them again after the Easter break, because I do think it's also hard for a team to come into a game like that when you're up 3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's difficult to analyze, but also I think that we find some soul in that team that was lacking in Leoforos, because in Leoforos it looked like we started the game to draw, like, I mean, to protect the score, because when you put James and El Arabi, it means you will be probably slower than the opponent. And even if Valbuena is older, like the oldest one of the team, is not the guy that will run the most, but the patient is able to, I don't know the word, like, he gives patience, he has patience, and he gives that to the other player around him. I think it's visible. Like, people sometimes ask themselves what Valbuena can bring to the team in terms of playing style. Like, okay, he can't run, he can't probably track back like Masuras and stuff like that. But it gives passion to the other players, and this is probably what we lacked so much this season. And the question I have is, the lineup we saw tonight, will really be the lineup we will see in the next 2-3 games in the playoffs? Because can we imagine James going back into the lineup? Can we imagine El Arabi starting another game unless everything is done for Olympiakos? Can we expect Socrates to come back into the defense? I don't know. Maybe Anigo gave some answers tonight. I don't know.
Really good questions, and that's a great kind of prompt for us to go into the next segment, because, you know, James Rodriguez being left out of the squad today was a massive talking point. It's created a lot of discussion, differing views on, you know, should we keep him at the end of the season? There are some reports today that, you know, decision's been made that he won't be renewed, etc. Some people agree, a lot of people disagree. There's, you know, this is a really interesting discussion. At this point in time, it's a good opportunity for me to say, hit the like button if you're following us live. If you're watching after the live section, subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up with our content. We're Gate 7 International, your number one English source for all things Olympiacos. Also, a big shout out to our sponsors, Piraeus International. If you're looking to ship goods, items from the US to Greece, check out piraeusintl.com. And also, if you're a betting person, check out betus.com.pa. If you use our promo code GATE7INTL when you sign up for the first time, you can get a 125% deposit boost on your first deposit using GATE7INTL. Remember, bet responsibly, please, ladies and gentlemen. And so you brought up just before a really good point about James Rodriguez, El Arabi. James Rodriguez was left out of the squad today. El Arabi didn't even come off the bench today. Question marks over Socrates Papastathopoulos. And by the way, these are the three players that are earning the top contracts at this club. James Rodriguez's contract is 1+1, but we have option either to extend or not extend. El Arabi has a closed contract, if I'm not mistaken. So question mark this summer, does he maybe move on? Do we sell him? Socrates, his contract's up. So those are three of the biggest contracts in the squad right now. I agree with you. I think that this is the lineup moving forward in the playoffs, with one perhaps difference, whether or not Pep Biel starts the next game. And the question is, of course, if you don't start him, then who do you start? Because the alternatives don't look that great. But
Yeah,
I'm going to say this now. Stick around until the end, because Marshall and I have got a surprise, something new, something different to the live stream podcast, guys. If you stick around until we get to coach's grade, man of the match, we're going to do something different. So stick around a little bit more. Sorry, Marshall, I cut you off.
No, but you said it, that the option we have currently are limited, and I think that's something that goes quite under the radar, because reducing the squad was badly needed when Mitchell took over the team. But if you think about it, like we lost Wijo, we lost Abubakar Kamara as a striker. Like, okay, there were two probably shitty options when you consider what they've done during the first 6 months, but still, it's two striker going out, and you hear with Bakambu and El Arabi, and we all see El Arabi is, I think he was never able to find any rhythm after the poor summer he had. Like, physically, he was in a terrible shape, and he missed a lot of situations. So he never bounced back after that. And we lost two strikers during the winter, and we probably needed one more, because okay, Bakambu can't play every game 90 minutes, of course, but who's the alternative? Like, is El Arabi even able to score the goal he scored in the past, like during big games, even in the area? Like, if the goal made a save, is he able to score a goal like that anymore? That's the question. And also this idea is also for the wingers, for the offensive players itself, because since Carlos got injured, which was probably a major setback for Olympiacos, just look at who is the solution for the winger. It's Brusai, is Gario Rodriguez, and if James is out for the rest of the season, or if he's on the bench, then where's Bitiki at first, and how are we going to see Brusai and Rodriguez coming in every game? Because otherwise, there is no miracle to expect. Like, those players, they can't even be compared with players like Eliasson, like Paulo Fernandez from AEK. You see what I mean? The bench for Olympiakos, who was the key point of Martins, because Martins had so many solutions, and at the end of it, we were frustrated because he was only using the same 13 players every time. But now, the coach of Olympiakos, whether it's Mitchell or Anigo, will make the five subs every game, throwing the same 5 players at the same time. Because if the lineup stays the same as tonight, we know that El Arabi will come in, Masuras will come in, Brusai will come in, Rodriguez will come in, and probably one center back will come in if Socrates plays and gets injured. So we are very predictable, which is funny for Olympiakos because we have had like 40 players during the season.
Yeah, I think on this topic, I had I was thinking about something earlier today when we talk about Valbuena and El Arabi re-signing in the past summer, and that was a massive talking point. And for me, I thought that we needed to move on from both. I was very clear on that. I thought that value for money wise, we would never get the best. We would never. El Arabi would never be the same. Like I thought it was, in an ideal world, just time to move on. It's like, okay, you did it. He's a legend at the club. He's written his name in the history of the club, but I don't think that he was up for the role that the people at the club thought he could offer for the money that they were offering him to. With Valbuena, it's weird because he's older, isn't he? He's older than Valbuena than El Arabi. He's 38, yeah, and El Arabi is 37. It's just 1 year difference. But I really thought, I mean, I don't know how much Valbuena is earning. I assume he took a pay cut compared to his previous contract. In the end, with a pay cut, even I was unsure. Like, was it really worth it? Is he taking time away from somebody else? But honestly, like looking at it now, like Valbuena looks like the kind of player that can still give you a lot. Even maybe one more season, like as a like 45 minutes, whereas an impact sub, he gives everything. Like, he really represents what Olympiacos fans want to see from their players, like passion, desire, and the ability to come with it, that the winning mentality. And I have to say, like, it really has surprised me. Should it have surprised me? You'll tell me not. but no, I wanted to put that on record. Like, I really am I'm very happy with what he's, the role he's played this season. He's been really important, I think, and he leads by example. It's what you said at the beginning of the show. So when you see a 38-year-old putting in the effort and running, giving everything like he does, then everybody else has to follow. Everybody else has to follow that.
Yeah. I mean, also, you mentioned something very important, is that he took a pay cut. Fortunis took a pay cut too. So it just made the El Arabi renewal not possible to understand. I mean, El Arabi with a pay cut would have been a decent bench solution, but the renewal he got is like it makes no sense because we renewed someone like we renewed Fortunis back in time when he was about to go to the Premier League. Like, I mean, wanted by other clubs, clubs willing to pay a fee for him, and you wanted to keep a good player in the Greek Super League. But El Arabi, it was the last option for him to play European football, because apart from Olympiakos, he would not have played unless probably he went to I don't know, Turkey maybe, but I'm not sure he would have gone to Turkey anyway. So we renewed him with a massive pay rise that makes no sense for me. And on Valbuena, the thing I was wondering tonight is that, because people say, and this is kind of true, that he can't play 90 minutes. He can play 1 hour, maybe half an hour. But the question is is it not better to start Valbuena and sub him off rather than throwing him during the game like we did in Leoforos, for example, at midfield at the halftime? Sorry, because I do have the feeling that the production the team is giving is better when Valbuena starts rather than when he comes in. Because when he comes in, it's like he has to solve the issue. Like probably we're behind in the score, and we kind of expect too much from him compared to tonight. Because even if he did not touch so many balls tonight, probably did not make so many runs, but the influence he has on the game, the connection he has with Fortunis, it looks to work. It looks like it works better than with James. I might be wrong, but
No,
football,
you know,
it reminds me a sentence a coach once told me, like a team works with pair, like the center backs, midfield, the midfield with the center back, midfield with the winger and stuff like that. So the team is made with pairs, and a lot of players loves to be paired with Valbuena because it applies to Villa, for example. We saw that against Pau, for example, but it probably also applies to Fortunis, the way he connects with Valbuena, the runs he made, the pass he can find, because Fortunis won back the ball before passing it to Bakambu, if I'm right. So both players probably have a better production along compared to James Rodriguez. It's funny because James is a way better player than both of them, maybe. Like more skills, more technique, better left foot, better strong foot. But football is not about only that, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, been a lot of comments going off while we've been talking about this stuff. Lagis Gavalas is back in the chat. Says Fortunis was about to go to the Premier League. Does the Premier League know he wouldn't have lasted 45 minutes? That was back before he signed the 3-year contract. Lagi, West Ham were in for him. Christos says we need fast players like AEK and Panathinaikos. Yeah, that's a big topic of conversation. I think I looked at AEK starting lineup at the before the game started, and they had Levi Garcia up front, Fernandez and Suber. It's a very mobile team. It's not necessarily all about being fast on your feet necessarily, but also in the head. But generally, just being mobile, I think, is the key word for me. Christos also thinks that if passion's an important characteristic, then you could also put a Gate 7 fan to play. Yeah, Valbuena has some quality too. The guy has more than 50 caps for the French national team, for example. Outlaw Jorge is back. He said we should build around Pascalakis, Inbom, Fortunis, Bakambu, and Villa. And our friend Labros Sirmos, co-host of the show, says Bertucci sitting on the bench watching Vrusai and Gary disaster classes. That's a big question mark for me. I mean, I'm not going to say that I know Bertucci very well as a player, but I mean, how much Vrusai and Gary, none of the subs offered anything today.
Gary can't offer anything. Like he's not going to. He just can't. Like out of the 4 top team in Greece, I mean, it is probably the worst winger that any team has in the roster. Just think about it. Just
Rodriguez.
Just find me a player in AEK, PAOK, and Panathinaikos playing at his position that is worse. Even Verbic isn't worse.
Yeah, but the thing with Rodriguez is that he's just not reliable. I think he's a rhythm player. If he gets into rhythm and he can play 3-4 games like consistently, then maybe he's a good player. Like we've seen that when he was at BAUK, but we just it's just been just every time this season you start to think, oh, there it is. Then he gets injured, and now is it worth it? Is it worth trying to integrate him into this team in inverted commas that we're starting to put together late in the season? Because again, this is a big discussion point of Olympiakos all year. Like, this isn't a team. Everything is reliant on individual brilliance. We mentioned that earlier. There's no clear philosophy. Like, we played high press against Aris, against Bauk, against AEK today, but we went to Leoforos and then we changed it. We said, no, we're gonna sit back and we're gonna play James and El Arabi out of nowhere, and that completely changed the philosophy and style of play of the team. Just shows that there's not a clear plan from the beginning of the season. And that brings us to this point about James Rodriguez, because this has been a big talking point since I guess the Sunday's performance, which overall was very disappointing. The whole team performance, but him in particular as well. He did nothing the first 45 minutes, and I've seen some people, I've heard some people say James Rodriguez is one of the most important players in the squad because he's quite high up in terms of big chances created or goal contributions, but goal contributions against Asteras, Olympiakos, and Olympiakos Volu is not why we bought James Rodriguez to Olympiakos. You bought James Rodriguez to Olympiakos, yes, to mop up and clean up in the easy games, but you expect him to perform in the big games, in the derbies. And correct me if I'm wrong, but besides the goal against Bauk, in a game that we lost, wasn't it? In a game that we lost, he hasn't scored or contributed in a derby.
Oh,
And Aris is not a derby. Let's be clear.
he
Aris
scored
is not a
against
derby
AEK,
game.
but it was rule off for offside.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does not matter. But yeah, I kind of agree with you because I've had trouble on Twitter with Colombian fans because I was saying the lineup in Leoforos, James on that lineup wasn't something that suits that lineup because we needed more mobile players like to put pressure on Panathinaikos, and I don't really have an opinion about James because the few games I've rewatched to do some like video, you can see how smart James Rodriguez is. What can he bring to the team, even if he does not run? The left foot he has, it's the kind of player we won't see ever in Greece probably because he has magic, he has grace, he has everything you like in a football player. For me, that's not debatable, but at the same time, it probably makes us more predictable when you have James on the lineup. Of course, when you play against smaller teams, even if you're Olympiakos, even if you're predictable, if you're Olympiakos, you can't defend against James because you don't have the level for that. Even if you're Asteras, Atromitos, you can't do that. But if you Panathinaikos, AEK, PAOK, the organization of those teams allow average player to reach a better level. I don't know if it's clear, but and James also the big problem that is not spoken enough for me is that he got injured at the very worst time because Fortunis was coming back into the team in a very good rate, very good form, and I think he went to the national team, and even before he has these calf issues that was worrying him since weeks. And I agree with the comment, like he was good in the big games in the first round, but he can't maintain that fitness level over the season, and that's a major issue. and we and also because we are like the 6 game from the end, so we can't wait James to get 100% because he won't. So if to him the solution is kind of clears the bench or out of the team, would you put James in the lineup right now?
No, but
Um,
that's the thing. Like, it
Against
feels
Wolves,
like
maybe.
it feels like anybody that's making construct like critical points about James Rodriguez is seen as a James Rodriguez hater, and I'm not trying to hate on him. And I'm going to say something like this: like James Rodriguez, when he was signed at the beginning of the season, it wasn't with a plan. Like the Marcelo signing, the James Rodriguez signings, they're big name signings. No, I think they were very good, like comms wise as well, to kind of fire up the crowd, and that's what these big signings do as well. But there were question marks early on. Can James Rodriguez coming from Qatar really come in and make an impact like El Arabi did? Can Marcelo still play? There was a difference between the two. Like Marcelo wasn't playing a lot at Real Madrid last season, but Rodriguez was getting game time, albeit in Qatar. But the thing is now, like, because there was no specific plan, let's say, to build a team around James, because the squad was built poorly this summer, it's kind of unfair actually to be a fair judge of what he's given, because the situation is really, really complex and there's no clear philosophy, no clear game plan of Olympiacos. It's something that's constantly been chopping and changing because we have changed 4 managers. And like you said, we're at a culminating point in the season. There are 6 games left, and we're fighting for our lives, quote unquote, to finish in a position that will either get us Champions League. Some still believe that we can still win the league. A lot is also going to depend on where we finish budget wise, etc. But this point about the lack of clear direction in the club, it creates a level of unfair criticism, and that applies to James Rodriguez. It applies to Pep Biel, who came in €6 million transfer to play as a 10, and he's played out wide all season. Is it fair to criticize him, because he's just been asked to play as an individual? It's like, go out there and try and figure it out. And every week we change the lineup. Sometimes we play with 3 10s. And in December we bring Canos. We've never seen James Rodriguez play with 2 clear wingers, have we? We've never seen him play with 2 clear wingers.
We don't have, we only have one winger currently, which
Exactly.
is Canos, and
And
he's
he's
injured.
injured. And he's injured. And I agree
But
with your
the big,
point, like
the
your
big
point earlier
frustration,
about him. Like,
yeah, the
man,
big
when he got
frustration.
injured, I felt exactly the same as you. I thought this could be like the reason, like a major reason why we can't compete to win the league, because he gave us so much, and it was so evident in the Pauk game before he got injured, like what he was contributing. And so sorry,
No, you're
that was
right, and
my
that's
point
why
on.
probably cried that night, because probably the first reason is because he feared a bigger injury, but also that's just an hypothesis. But when you're that confident, when you're scoring goals, giving assists, like pretty much every time you play, you know that when it's broken, like he probably won't come back. And he was kind of feeling the fact that he was leading the team toward a big return at the top of the league, and he got like cut into that process. And when he walked out that pitch crying, like it was Olympiakos in his hole, like that was walking off the league crying because the last drop of hope went off with Carlos, because we don't have a player that can do that, unless the team we saw tonight is able to win 4 games out of 6 and not losing the two others. We can still do it, but when you play against other team, you see that you need someone as a striker to create the danger, and we have it, and that's also why I can't understand why Hanigo, for example, is summing off creative players every game. Tonight, like one out of Valbuena and Fortunis had to finish the game, because every time he's doing the 5 subs and he's taking out every creative players. Like Fortunis is the kind of guy that can make an assist at every moment on a corner, for example, for Cisse, or I don't know, situation like that, and we kind of renounced to that.
Yeah.
I just look. You asked me to do ratings, and I was thinking, like, how can I rate the players that went in? Like, I did not remember any good
Nothing.
things they did, not even the bad thing. Like, they did nothing neutral.
That you've been saying it a lot this season, that the fact that we can make 5 subs is like a poison chalice for a manager, and today it just kind of killed our rhythm, to be honest.
Exactly.
Like the game, it was almost unwatchable after the last few subs were made. Like there was no impact from any of the subs that came on today. But wrapping up on this James Rodriguez issue, Jose Inigo, the caretaker coach, was actually asked about the situation, and here's what was said. They asked him, James is the biggest, let's say, valued, the highly valued property of Olympiakos. Why can't he offer what he can? They said to him, you've lived a similar situation with Marcelo from 2 different posts. Like, what's his view on the situation? And he said, I don't think that James is Olympiakos' most prized asset. He didn't agree with that. In clubs, there are a lot of players that can come and go, big players that don't achieve what's expected. Olympiakos is a big club in Europe. I knew Olympiakos before I came, says Inigo. So whoever comes to Olympiakos has to treat Olympiakos as a big European club, and they should always play at their 100%. Sometimes some players might not do that. It happens. We don't need to look for reasons now. What we have to do is give 100% for a big club like Olympiakos. That's what he had to say about the James situation.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty clear. I don't see, like, it's really difficult for him to play. I don't know. What do you think about the statement?
I think it's it's as diplomatic an answer as he could give. It feels like somehow he's saying that he's not giving enough. He's not giving 100%. He expects more. Big question is, like, the rest of the games, you can't see a way back. And I think there have been some, how can I say? I think we've seen some signs of, James wanting to play or expecting to play every game. there was a feeling that, you know, when Mitchell would take him off, as you know, he'd be in the starting lineup and he'd take him off as a sub in the 65th or the 70th minute, that he'd get annoyed. And I think there was a sentiment that he expected to play every game. And if he didn't, or if he didn't get game time, it was a problem for the club, for the internal functioning as well of the club, but more importantly, the squad, like the players, the dynamic with all the players. So, you know, now, is there a way back? I'm not so certain. George Babadzani says, I'm sorry, confidence boost for Thrylos. If you ask me, I came down playing like it was a friendly. Well, you could say it was a confidence boost after losing demoralizingly 2-0 in Leoforos on the weekend, and we have AEK to play in the next game. So, yeah, we did talk about the fact that for AEK, it was probably a challenge coming to play full power after winning 3-0, the comfortable lead. But I think it was important to win. It was important to win today.
Yeah, exactly, because wins always matters. Wins always matters, and especially when you have been craving for wins against big Greek teams since the summer. So we know that it's mainly psychological at this time of the season. I think I've said it before, the Leoforos game, but the most blooded team will win this league, because obviously levels matters, but just look at the way, for example, AEK came to play in Karaiskakis, like winning time every time they could, the referee not giving enough extra time. And those are things that it's always good to win those games, even if you do not qualify, because it means the game plan was at least correct. Like, it was not the perfect one, but it was correct. And we can't not enjoy victories this season, because we did not win that much big games. I'm not saying that was the biggest game of the season tonight, because it got kind of dead after the first leg, but still, it's a rival, so you have to win it.
No, I believe the title after the first leg that we put in our live stream was "Bye Bye Kipelo." It was really a gargantuan task to try and turn this around. But we're approaching 45 minutes, guys. If you haven't done so already, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're joining for the first time, subscribe, keep up with our content, check out our match day vlogs. Got some great interviews as well with former players. There are playlists on our channels. You can go and check that out there. We're approaching 3,000 subs. Help us reach this next milestone, and there will be a giveaway at 3,000 subs. And Labro has also promised to do an hour-long rant, which I'm sure you're all very much looking forward to. Thank you for keeping the comments coming in. A lot of you have been following the channel for some time now. Always great to see the regulars and some new guys as well. Alexandra, thank you very much for your comments. I love you guys. You make this dark time bearable. TF91 says, this year we played 4 games against AEK. I didn't see this great team that everyone talks about. If I saw only these 4 games all season, I'd bet Olympiakos is above them in the league. To be fair, like, okay, 1 game is the 3-0 that they beat us away, and the other one is the draw at home, where I felt like they outplayed us big time, particularly in the first half. Like, they really outplayed us in the first half of that game. And the other two, like, okay, we've won 2 games. So okay, like it is, it's not as unbalanced as people think. Like, they do have a better team unit. They had the entire summer to work. Like, they have a clear philosophy. Individually, though, we have better players. They don't have a player like that can do what Hwang In-beom did today. I don't think. For example, they don't have a Valbuena.
He is the true best player of Super League.
Yeah. There's no question for me. There's no
it's
question.
the difference between a good player and, I don't know to say that, because when you compare what In-beom did to the team and what James did to that team, that's the difference between a very good player and a player that could have been good for Olympiakos, even if he has tremendous talent.
Yeah.
Because let's not forget that In-beom, he arrived like almost injured, and since the first game, the first minute of the first game he played, we saw the difference. So that's why, and I saw a comment about that. I kind of agree about Beal, the fact he plays out of position, and of course he's playing out of position. But the thing that worries me is that when he can't finish, it's not a matter of position, and the fact he looks to struggle in every duels, like physically sometimes it looks easy to beat. He's not the kind of player that dribble. I was probably expecting better from him on that situation because I wasn't knowing that much the player he is. I was like, of course, like a lot of people, I saw the stats he had in Copenhagen. That was tremendous stat, but some playing out of position obviously limits what he can offer to the team, but it does not erase that he lacks finishing, and some in other area he could do way better. Sometimes it's difficult to balance things.
We're gonna come back to him in a moment. I want to say thank you to Irakor for the donation. Thanks very much. Ira asks, is the 1-year extension option on James' contract only on Olympiakos side, or does James have to agree too? It's both have to agree. Both have to agree. Yeah.
I don't think it will.
But I don't see it. I don't see it.
Did he really wanted to come to Olympiakos at first? That's the question.
If what, sorry?
Did James really wanted to come to Olympiakos at first? We will never know.
No. Hussein thinks Valbuena should be the coach next season.
Not the coach, but if we're expecting the club to renew the people outside the pitch, Valbuena has to have a position in that. And just not because he's a former Olympiakos player, but because when you see him, you know that he will be good in that role.
Yeah, I think, like you said, there is there's definitely a feeling that he's going to get some kind of role in the club if he does decide to hang up his shoes at the end of the season. Fetanos, you were actually at the game tonight. It says, I can't stay for the pod, but I was in Karaiskaki, and I have to tell you guys, watching Hwang play live is amazing. He's even better live. The crowd had high tensions with BL. They were booing him. Also, the game died when Valbuena was taken out. Yeah. Fetanos also says Cisse cannot progress the ball at all. We need a ball playing centre back ASAP. Yeah, we've been saying that all season for sure since Semedo left. It really
Not can
impacts.
do it sometimes.
Even Cisse can sometimes. It's just that the consistency and reliability of the progression from the back is not as good.
Yeah.
I think. What else do we have? Hardcore Soccer Jerseys says, just a quick hello. Would love to watch, but I look forward to listening to the pod at work later as I'm on the road all day. Fantastic work, guys. TF91, this channel's by far the best one for Olympiakos fans. I'm Greek, but I can't watch or listen to any journalists anymore. A little bit of Verveles and that's it. High praise from TF91. Thank you for the kind words. And another donation. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for this donation. TF91, it says, thanks so much for all your hard work. We really appreciate your show. I haven't been very active lately as I have a 2-month-old trying to get him to sleep, but always listening. Oh, man, congratulations. As a father of 3, I can tell you, I feel you. I feel you. Here's a tip that I used to do. I used to go into my baby's room and I have my headphones on while he was trying to sleep sometimes. So, you can do that. You can try and listen to the pod while you're trying to put your kids to sleep, if that helps. But thank you very much for the kind donation, guys. The donations always are reinvested into the pod. We've been meaning to do merchandise at some point as well. We pay for Y Scout. We pay for StreamYard. Any donations that you guys give us, they will always be reinvested back into this initiative and what we do here. Like, it's none of this is really going into our pockets. We're not making profit. Everything is to try and make the experience better for you guys, and keep growing this community and bringing Olympiakos fans together. So maybe on that point, like, we have some new content today. I think this is the first time that we're doing this, but people really like the player ratings. It gets people talking. We put these player rating graphics out on Instagram, on Twitter, on our socials, and they'd create a lot of buzz. We've never actually done player ratings on a live show. We normally do man of the match, coach's grade, but we're going to do player ratings today. We're going to talk about all the players. Marshall and I have put together our ratings for the starting 11 today, and we can start with the keeper, Alexandros Paschalakis. I've given him an 8.5 today. Just to clarify, my ratings always start from a 6.5. That's my starting point. I give him an 8.5 because I honestly think we wouldn't have won this game without him today. Like, he's made a couple of really big saves, and then just generally was reliable on the must saves, and yeah, I think in the end he's marginally my man of the match, because I feel like he has also been like really consistent this year. It was one of the points where when we signed him, we thought he's quite error prone, but in all the big games for me, he's been a consistent performer. And yeah, I thought that's why I've rated him so highly today.
No, yeah, you're definitely right, and it could raise another question. Is we probably will all agree that Huang is the best signing we've made. What about Paschalakis?
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't he he's probably the second best signing we've made. The first one has to be Huang, and I'm looking for a third one because I don't find it.
I think do you know what? I think you're right. Like, for me, it's so hard to make a case for anyone but Huang being our best player this season and the best player in the league, like you said. But I think I agree with you. I'm trying to think off the top of my head now, who is the second best signing this season? Is Paschalakis probably
Bakambu, third
Bakambu?
one.
Yeah, Bakambu. You could argue because he came free as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's value for money proposition and all these players. Like I think Juan came on a small fee, if I'm not mistaken. But Paschalakis and Bakambu, they've both come in on a free.
And they will be there in the summer.
Yes. Yeah. TF91 says Paschalakis is a big surprise this season. I was one of those people that didn't rate him at all, but he's proved us all wrong. Viper 3, Paschalakis is not consistent enough to be your starter in 2023-24. What do you think about that, Marshall?
Oh, well, yes and no. Yes, the old school Paschalakis was not reliable over a season, and the risk exists that he can like screw us in the summer, like he did when he, remember that game with Pauk against Benfica when he lost I think he considered a PK, and it's the kind of thing he can make in the summer. But at the same time, goalkeepers market is very difficult because you have huge chances to fail, and I don't know. Given the difficulty we face about signing players, good players, I mean, I'm not expecting the club to find someone that better than Pajalakis.
I'm with you, and I always look back to the season where Pauk won the league, and I just remember him being an absolute nightmare, like in terms of he just stop everything, and I think that he kind of he lost the passion at Pauk, and I think that he's the kind of player that he needs that motivation and passion to keep his concentration levels up. And that's why I think this is an important comment too from Hussein, that he has the soul, like the Olympiakos soul for sure, and you can see that passion. And I think as long as he's playing with passion, that his concentration levels will be what we want them to be, and we'll see the best of him. That's my feeling and hope. But we can go to the next player. Next player is Androutos, and I've gone for a 7. I thought that, at least for me, he exceeded my expectation. I thought that he was positive. I actually think that Rodinei has dipped a little bit the last few games compared to like high levels of what we became used to when we first saw him. And I thought Androutos did well. Like I felt like we didn't miss Rodinei a lot today. He did okay going forwards. He was involved in some combination plays with Fortunis, with BL. Defensively, got caught maybe once, but overall, I was quite positive about him.
Yeah, me too. The 6.5 is like it's a way to say he was not bad, not excellent, like just above average. Because when you play Androuchos, you know that he will fight for every ball. He will give 100%, even if he did not play for 1 month, 2 months, maybe. He is the perfect squad player. The issue is that he does not play in his position, but a part of that. And yeah, and sometimes it makes me wonder why he can't move back to the midfield, because sometimes we've seen players like Kasami play midfield. Why not Androuchos?
Yeah, good question. Even when we had those massive injury problems, there was some talk about
Exactly.
Yeah. I think it was
Same
the
applied
Volos.
for Antoy. Same
was
applies for Endoy.
Yeah, it was the Volos game, wasn't it? I think the first game of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we went with Kasami and Samaseko, and actually Kasami ended up getting a goal that night. But yeah, it was kind of goes to show that, you know, is his career as a central midfielder over? I'm not sure, but there are some comments here as well, like along the lines of what you said. He's the perfect squad player, and he's a good backup, like for Olympiakos. Cisse, I've gone 6.5. That's my, like I said, that's my starting point. I don't think he was great. I don't think he was bad. I just think he was kind of did most of what was expected. There were a couple of characteristic long balls to nowhere, but neither hot nor cold for me today. Pup.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to see him back playing.
Yes.
That's the positive point. A part of that, the centre back area itself is such a big. How do we say that? An area to rebuild entirely. So I'm not going to comment much about Cisse and Ba because does it really matters at that point?
I think the one thing we did say earlier that we can say again now is that for the remainder of the playoffs, I think this is the partnership that needs to continue.
Yeah.
And we've said it on previous pods too, the chemistry that they have on and off the pitch. It carries, you know, the off the pitch connection, it carries onto the pitch as well. They're both Senegalese, they're good friends, and I think it's the best partnership that we have. And the next one is, speaking of the partner, it's Hussein Bar. We've both given him a 6. I think it's because of the own goal, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately.
Like, otherwise he didn't, like, I thought he was pretty good. Like, he's decent. Like, he has the confidence back, and he didn't fall apart when he, you know, he didn't, I think before you'd expect another mistake, horror, after the own goal, you'd expect it to hit his confidence, but I don't think it did actually. Did it affect him?
No, I do believe that he's improved a lot mentally, psychologically, especially. I've seen it many times. I think it was against. I don't remember if it was against Olympiakos because he did not jump in situation in which he could have jumped in the past. You know, when someone fall on the ground, when you want to catch back the score and you need to play it fast and stuff like that. And he's focused on football mainly, and I do believe also because he had to be he was injured a lot of time, a long period of time, and I assume he had to play not 100%. Like Envila is playing right now, like it's a little bit injured. You know what I mean? Like infiltration when it hurts because Ba was injured in his ankle, if I'm correct, and also the back. He had back pain for a long period of time. So, as a central defender, I assume it affects the way the way you play. So, the combination of all of that probably made him mature when you're out of the team. Probably the only thing you have to do is work both physically and on yourself. So I hope he will prove on the like 6th game that he improved and left a good mark before leaving the club because it's the best option for him and for the club. And same applies for Cisse.
Do you think that it's realistic to sell both Cisse and Bar for 10 million? Asks TF91. Because they have 1 year left on their contract, both of them, don't they?
10 million, the two combined maybe. Could be, I'm not so sure. Even selling one player 3-4 million would be good business for Olympiakos.
Yeah.
Unless the player is Huang, of course, but
yeah,
we don't even do sales like that.
Yeah, I don't think. I'm not sure. 10 million might be a bit too much for both, given how much they've played this season, given our season in general, the value of the players, the Greek league, etc. We haven't really played in Europe. We won no games. 12. I was reminded today that we're 12 games without a win in Europe. That was quite depressing. Reabchuk. Again, neither hot nor cold for me. I see we both have the same rating, 6.5. He didn't look as good as he did in the last two games.
Well, the only thing I remember for his game is the tackle on Rota, and a part of that, I can't remember one single thing in that game.
Yeah, I think Ramon should have started today. I'm feeling that it's a return to Oleg playing every single game and running him into the ground, and I think maybe it was a chance to manage him, give him some rest, because I thought he was in the Pout game he was excellent. Yeah, I think maybe his best game all season, but today it was neither hot nor cold from Oleg. Jan and Villa, again, we both have the same rating. We've both given him a 7. What do you think? What do you think about Jan's performance today?
It did the dirty work in the midfield, and also that's something people also focuses a lot about Villa passing ability, like the visible things it can do for the team, but also he's covering a lot of ground. It wins ball. Is perfectly placed a lot of times, and he's the kind of player that you see the importance when he's not playing. And the pair is forming with Huang is the best we have right now.
Yeah.
The issue is we don't have player to make them rest when needed. Even if I do appreciate Samaseku, if you play Samaseku, probably you would have to change a little bit the shape of the team.
Agreed.
The main issue with Mbila is not him being finished at all, is not having proper replacement.
Or just generally, like, the chemistry between the midfield players that we have, it was never really fine-tuned or worked on. Like you said, like the Jan and Villa Huang partnership is the best one we have. Even that took a little bit of time for them to figure out what spaces they occupy on the pitch, how they cover for each other, the shape that they have on the pitch together. And you're right. Like, if you look at how many centre midfield players we've had in the squad this season as well, Kunde, Bukhalaki, Samaseku, Kasami, I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. Mamadou Kane, who started at the beginning of the season. Even like Madi played some friendlies too. Like, just what's the plan? Like, what's the shape? What are the partnerships? Yeah, this is the only one that's really been worked on besides Bukhalakis Kunde, and that never really worked, did it? Bukhalakis Kunde was actually the what we were playing in Europe so that we could rest in Villa and Juan, basically.
Yeah.
And now they're both gone. And they're both gone. But you do raise a really important point. Like, these guys have played non-stop all season.
Yeah, it's not sustainable at all for any club.
But I want to bring this up. Like I know you don't like him, Villa. He backtracks all the time, doesn't keep the line up, and never sets foot in the opponent's box. I don't expect him to set foot in the opponent's box. That's not his role for me. Not at all. Not at all what I'm expecting from him. I'm expecting him to sit in front of the box, protect the defense, and help get the ball up the field. That's what he is. I think his defensive contribution is sometimes underrated. Hussein raises it. Our defense is getting lost as well without him. He's the glue in the middle, and you see him giving a lot of instructions and trying to lead from the back. And yes, he's not as slow. He's not as fast. But he's a player that's always played with his head too. He's never been known for being particularly fast, isn't it, Martial?
No.
Yeah.
No, the main quality he was known for was the passing ability.
Yeah. And the next one is Inbom Juan. I mean, what more can we say than what we've said already?
MVP. He's
Season
my MVP
MVP.
tonight.
Your MVP tonight.
Yeah.
My season MVP. I've said it many times.
There's no need to add more about him, because also the way he tackles, I kind of like it, because it's very difficult. You don't see that much players that knows how to tackle properly. Like, he has a old-fashioned way of tackle, and I do like him for that.
Don't think we need to say more. We've been singing his praises all season and today. I really love the way that he entered into the game with that bursting run and winning the foul. And maybe there are some moments in the game where you sometimes feel like he gets lost. But then just every time he's on the ball, it's just brilliant. And you just really hope that he can stick around for one more season with a proper, like a properly functioning Olympiakos, with a real philosophy and a manager that manages to get his to build something. You'd really want to see him in a proper Olympiakos team. I read a comment somewhere. Could you imagine him in Olympiakos' midfield this season that we played Wolves, like the 2020 season, 2019-2020 season, when we made the run in the UEFA Europa League with Guilherme and Madi Camara? That would be quite sexy.
No, but is he because a lot of people say I've seen this on Twitter a lot of time. Every time we lose a game, like people posting pictures about Guilherme, but isn't him beyond the one that came to fulfill the gap left by Guilherme? Like a midfield that it's not a 6, not an 8, but he can defend, he can attack, he can score goal, can give his assist and stuff like that. Like, are they really different in terms of profile? That's a question I was asking myself.
It's an interesting one. They're quite similar. I feel like Guilherme was a bit more tenacious, but that's not taking away from Inbom. Like, I agree with you. I think that Yeah, he's like going forward. I think he's more of a threat. Like he likes to get in the box. Guillermo was better in the air. I think like Guillermo scored a few headers, didn't he?
Yeah,
Like from set pieces and stuff, and he'd like to get in the box like that. But
yeah, exactly.
yeah, no, it's not a bad comparison. I have to say, I haven't really thought much about that in terms of Inbom's contribution. Yeah, and there's mathematics. There's if Huang stays, it's huge, absolutely. Fortunis, 7.5. We've both given him 7.5. What can we say about Costa? It's not just the ability on the ball, but like I don't know if you see it as well, but I feel like he's trying more off the ball
Okay.
too, like pressing wise.
I am positively surprised by what he's doing. What he's doing since he came back into the team. The shape he has, the rhythm he's able to put on those games. I mean, I he's the one that leads the team offensively. Like, let's be clear about that. For the past weeks, he's the one that leads this team offensively, along with Bakambu, uh, and yeah, him and Bakambu. So if it's not him that leads the club toward the title, then I don't think we would win it. It's him or no one, because he also can give assist on corner. He can take free kick, stuff like I know something that is missing in other player. He has the
Yeah.
passion too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can't really add more on Costa. I just think back to the beginning of the season when he was seemingly almost out of the club, and now we're having this conversation. Says a lot about the season once again, but
Yeah,
great to see him performing the way he is. I think he's matured. I think he's
yeah,
matured as a
exactly.
player. We can say that. Like he's matured as a player.
Exactly.
He had a kid recently too. Maybe that's had an impact on his
Exactly.
way of thinking. Valbuena, we gave him 7.5 as well. What a goal! What a goal! I said at the beginning. And just what more can we say? We said it earlier. Just the drive, the determination, the leadership. It's toxic. Everybody has to follow. Everybody
Yeah,
has to follow. 38 years of age, running like a teenager for 60, 65 minutes.
no, I I spoke about Matthew so many times. I think at least a lot of people agrees on what he is, what he isn't, what he can bring to this team, and uh, it's bad we have 6 points to recover, because if it was tied, you know that he is the player that will probably sacrifice himself in those 6 games for the title, even if it costs him like injuries or stuff like that, because it could be an X factor for the team if needed. And that's why I just can't understand why he did not start uh, in Leoforos, because yeah, obviously the choices were wrong because we lost, but when you take in consideration the state of the club, the state of the team, the situation of so many players, like it's kind of obvious he has to start for me. I wonder if Anigo will start him against AEK on the next game.
I think, and this is going to like his point. He says, I don't know if I should be happy with how Valbuena is playing or sad that we rely so much on the 38-year-old. It is what it is. And I want to, go back to a comment you made, Marshall, earlier, which is he can have more of an impact starting the game than coming on. Because, like you said, I think he can lead by example when he's there from the beginning. But then when he's brought on and he's there's an expectation on him to try and save everything is different. And there's no formation, I think, that we've seen where Fortunis plays as a 10 that works when it's, who are the options on the wing? Masuras, like Biel's having a pretty poor run of form the last couple of games in particular. And, Pedro Martins used to put Valbuena on the wing, didn't he? Like the Ludogorets games last season, but you lose a lot when you stick him out on the wing, like particularly defensive. I think you put a lot of strain on him. You need to give him the freedom. And, if you're asking me, I think he should be starting every game. He should be starting every game moving forward. And that's just the truth of what the situation is. It doesn't matter if he's 38 years old. He to try and find the best Olympiakos lineup that can perform is what we've seen. When he starts, we play with a level of intensity that we generally have not seen at all this season. Yeah,
exactly. Also, the age for me does not really matter because Azer is able to play, like is fit to play. Azer he can't play, and then just let him out of the mission because I've keep reading people saying, okay, we can't rely that much on someone that is 36 years old, then that someone is 37 years old. No, it's someone that is 38 years old. But unless someone proves me the contrary, the opposite, he does not indicate that he's tired. It does not indicate he can't play, he can't run. I don't see any sign of him being not able to play, like to give it 100%. So just use that weapon before it's too late. I mean, because he's probably gonna retire in June or maybe run. I don't know, but we have to benefit from that because I'm pretty sure all the team would love to have Valbuena on the team, on their roster.
Let's see. The 6 games left.
Exactly.
And now we're finally coming to the one where I think a lot of people want to have a rant about Pep Biel. We both gave him a 6. Yeah, I think he was underwhelming today in particular. I think particularly that chance on the 35th minute where he has the ball in the box on his left foot. I expect him to hit the target at very least. Lagis thinks that he has a serious attitude problem. I think he's very frustrated with the situation, but he hasn't been vocal about it, being frustrated at playing in a role that he's is not his favorite, and the way that he's expressing it is not in words but sometimes in his body language and in his overall performances, which actually, if you look at his numbers overall this season, is he scored 10 goals? Like he's double digits in goals and assists in total goal contributions, that is. So assists and goals, he's double figures. And together with Bakambu, together they both have 23 goals between them this season. So, he scored in big games too. But I can understand a level of frustration from his side, but also from fans because of the price tag too. But it goes back to my point earlier as well. Like, are we being unfair given the circumstances? Given there's no clear plan. So these all these players are just being asked to play as individuals and show their talent, not playing in a team or a makeshift team at best. What do you think?
Well, I remember something funny. It's when I was with Lambro this summer on holidays in Greece, and they showed the game on Greek TV between Copenhagen and Trabzonspor because Bakasetas and Siopis were playing that game. And I told Lambros because I knew Biel, the name of Biel, because he was one of the best players of Copenhagen. And I was like, okay, this is the kind of guy we could have in Olympiakos because like he looks the kind of player that would suit well Greek football, like scores a lot of goals, giving assists and stuff like that. And when he came, I was happy because we've talked about it before. Like the 6-7 million signings are the one that are supposed to make Olympiakos progress or at least remain from the fight for Champions League. But we did not gave him the role in the team of someone that was paid 6 million. Because if you pay 6 million and you're a Greek team, it means that this player is probably the first name you put on the lineup. Because Biel was the major signing before Marcelo and James, so it was supposed to be the one you build around, and it did not. It did not ended up like that. But also, I think probably he has too many things to solve. Like he has, it frustrates me because he 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 can't finish. Like the thing that frustrates me the most is that he can't finish. Like I remember the game against Ofi where he wasted like four clear situations.
Yeah.
And he plays out of position, but every offensive player on this team has to solve so many issues at the same time. Like we probably were expecting Pep Biel to score 25 goals in the Greek league. I indirectly, probably myself, I was expecting that because he's the first 6 million signing we've made since like what, 10 goals maybe, but he was a defender, so does not it does not the
Yeah.
same. But yeah, expectation were too high. He plays out of position, and also is frustrating. He's a very frustrating player. So I don't know how he can. Maybe he will need a full preparation during the summer, a clear out in the roster, and
Yeah, because he came late, didn't he? Came late as well.
yeah, everyone came late, but yeah,
Yeah.
he, and let's not forget we have qualifier in the summer. Pep Biel in the summer looks like the kind of guy that would trash teams like Ludogorets or even IFA if we face teams like that again. Let's see. I don't know
Let's hold that thought for the qualifiers. And
exactly.
the last one is Bakambu, 7.5 from me, 7 for you. Nice assist tonight.
Yeah, very nice.
Decent performance. I don't have much more to say. We're an hour and a half through.
Yeah, I'm getting tired.
I think we can call it a night. I hope I hope, guys, that you've also enjoyed this this segment on player ratings. The first time we've done that. Let us know. Let us know if you like that. If you want us to keep doing that kind of thing. When there are two of us on the show, it's something that we can certainly try and do moving forward. Otherwise, Marshall, got anything more?
No, but you spoke quickly about Bakambu, but I would have to speak again about qualifiers because the qualifiers worries me more than the title itself because we probably end up like fourth at the worst case. So, like Bakambu, since when did we have a striker that we probably enter the summer with that much confidence in the qualifier? That's the first question also. And the second question, now the second comment I would make is that I've spoken before that we did not replace Rujo and Camara when they left. But I think the player we did not replace is Tiquinho. And I had that in mind. I had that in mind on Sunday because I also remember the game Tiquinho did in Haifa, the first leg. The way he was able to play alone in the middle of defender and being the one that won balls in the air, on the ground, able to dribble player. I mean that it was. We let him go in the time he was in the best shape. And like Tiquinho and Bakambu, there's no way we would lose that league. Just the last so before going to bed, but we did not replace Tiquinho. That's a fact.
That's a fantastic point to end on. Marshall, thanks for coming on tonight. Guys, those of you that are following live, thanks very much for watching. Thanks for sticking with us. If you made it this far, happy Easter. We'll say it early. We won't be doing a live this Sunday. We'll be back next week. So again, guys, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, subscribe, make sure that you don't miss the next episode. We'll be back after Easter. Kalopascha, Kali Anastasi, and we look forward to seeing you next time. We're Gate 7 International, by the fans, for the fans. See you next time.